This is Tree Talks. I'm Yassine Basim, and here we have Alexandra, who got accepted to Caltech. So, can you give us an introduction of yourself?
So, my name is Alexandra. I'm currently a freshman studying at Caltech, and my intended major is physics. I'm an international student. I originally came from Ukraine, but now I study here, and so far I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's very unique. Given that you got accepted to Caltech, I guess you had some crazy stats in high school. Can you share us your stats, your GPA, SAT, and AP if you took them?
Okay, so I didn't apply with SAT because that year it was optional. I also didn't take APs because my school didn't provide them, but I was completing my high school in two schools simultaneously. So I did the British program, which is A levels, where I did the math, further math, and physics subjects. I also completed Ukrainian diploma in online school too. My GPA, I don't know exactly how was it, but it was good. I think it was like 3.9 and 4.0. Then also about other things, I think what mostly influenced my application wasn't even like GPA or something like that. It was my achievements in astronomy, which I applied with because it was like my main activity, even though I applied with different activities, not only STEM related. Most of my application was about some things I did in astronomy. So I published a couple of research projects. I worked like on research projects in astronomy alone and in the big famous collaborations. Also, I taught other people how to do research, did some Olympiads and competitions, and I think that played the bigger role into my acceptance here, and it was the most important point in my application.
Really? So, can you expand more on your extracurriculars? So, what do you think was like some of the most impactful extracurriculars you had, and how did you present them in your application?
Okay, so I think a lot of people who applied here and in other universities, they had different research projects they did. But what I think was quite unusual about my extracurriculars, I was working in the astronomical observatory in Ukraine, and there I had like first authored projects. I presented in total at around 20 astronomical conferences, and but I think it's like quite usual extracurricular for people applying to top schools. But what was unusual that when I was 15 years old, I was accepted as a full member to one of the astrophysical collaboration, which is very unusual because they didn't have anyone like lower than PhD students before me. So it was like, well, actually they accepted me because they thought I'm a PhD student, but they still let me stay when they found out that I was just a high school student because I could work there well. And there I participated in a lot of different research projects. We published a lot of impactful papers. For example, in 2022, with that collaboration, we observed the most powerful gamma ray burst ever, which is like an event that happens in 10,000 years. And it's so far the most impactful paper I participated in. Also, in that collaboration, I was teaching like other PhD students, postdocs, and sometimes even professors how to follow up gravitational wave events because during that time and now there is LIGO, Virgo, Kagro, Forerun, and I participated throughout all of it by monitoring gravitational wave events and deciding what should we observe was our collaboration. And I taught other people how to do that as well. And I think it was quite unusual.
Yeah, that's really good. What is because I'm not very familiar with it. What do you mean by like astronomical collaboration? Is that like collaboration between two facilities?
So it's more like collaboration between professional scientists because it consists mostly of professors and postdocs. And sometimes professors, they bring their PhD students to learn. So PhD students are considered like a students in the collaboration.
Yeah.
But because my supervisor added me as a high school student, they didn't know that. They thought that I'm a PhD too because they didn't have high school students before. And
Yeah.
it was kind of weird for them when they found out, but they didn't kick me out. They say, we like how you work, so you can stay.
I mean, yeah, that's good for them. Amazing. Okay. So like, how do you balance between your academics and your work and extracurriculars in the observatory?
So I didn't want to get like 4.0 plus GPA because I don't think it matters. As long as you have like good grades, like A's, you don't have to have like A pluses because your unique and extracurriculars matters more than GPA, which is higher than already high value. But still, you should remember that you should keep track on that. But basically, like in high school compared to university now, subjects are pretty easy, even though I did like some advanced A levels too. I don't know, for me it was pretty easy to prepare for them and pass them on A's. I don't know how it's for other people, but in university it will become much harder, so you need to be prepared for that. But again, you shouldn't think that you should get like 4.0 plus and it will be better than 4.0. I don't think it matters at all. I think what matters like your fit to the university plus your unique extracurriculars that are not exactly the same that other people are applying with.
Yeah, amazing. Totally agree. So you mentioned you took Olympiads, right?
I took some Olympiads too, but mostly I did competitions where you need to present your research project.
Yeah, can you tell us more about that and people who want to start out in Olympiads or those competitions?
Okay, so in Ukraine, it's pretty common to do Olympiads, and you have for free resources to prepare for them. Not only like online resources, but also some organizations that help you to prepare. So I used those resources to participate and win something at the National Olympiads. But Olympiads itself, it wasn't my focus because I wanted to focus more on the research because I think it's more valuable and more important for your scientific career in future, not just for now for the application. But you should like, if you want to do Olympiads, you should search for some free resources that I don't know how they're available in other countries, but in Ukraine they're very accessible.
Yeah.
Then for the competitions, it wasn't also like the main part. I just participated because I had the research project that I could present, so I presented it. And the highest I got is gold medal at the national competition, but I didn't go further because like if you go to international level, it's too much time to prepare, and I didn't want to go. Like there was a situation. I was living in Belgium for some time because of the war, and for me to go to international competition, I should like come back to Ukraine for the time of the competition, then leave Ukraine to the country of competition, then come back to Ukraine again and leave to Belgium again, which was expensive. So I didn't go to any international ones. But I don't think it was important for specifically my application because what people paid attention at it was the research projects itself, not where I presented them.
That's yeah, that's very unique. So Yeah, if someone is still in his sophomore or junior year, how would you recommend he starts in his research career?
So again, in Ukraine, it was very accessible because we have Junior Academy of Science, which is free national organization where you just come and you select the science you like and you start doing research for free. I started when I was 14 years old, and I'm still like in contact with my supervisor from that organization. But if you want to start from any country, I don't know what are the specifics of the research because I know in lots of the countries you need either to pay to work as a professor or just not so common. But in Ukraine, it didn't have to do that. It was for free and it was like already organized for you. But for other people, um, I would suggest just contacting some. If you don't have any experience, you should contact first somebody from your local university who does something you like and ask if you can join because it will be really hard to join like people working abroad if you didn't do anything before, and you should find somebody like closer to you uh, by territory to first gain some initial experience in science you want to study, and after that you can apply to like higher position professors maybe in US or in other countries and start working with them too, or apply to collaboration as I did. Collaboration is pretty good activity because well, in my application I had both first authored projects and collaborative projects, but when you have like working in the prestigious astrophysical collaboration alongside the professors and postdocs, it don't even just show that you can like write papers and you can do the research process. It also shows that you're a very collaborative person and you can succeed in the like group of professional scientists, which is very important for admissions officers to see that you can even now already be successful working with scientists as you will be when you grow up and become a scientist as you
Uh,
want.
did you create your own projects, initiatives, or like something of your own? And if yes, how did you approach it?
I started like all my first author projects first started from working with my supervisor from Kiev Observatory. But then when I gained enough experience, like under him, how to do those projects, how to publish them, I started just to do projects alone or like with my friends. And well, it depends how much experience you had because at that point I didn't have a lot of experience in some particular topic I wanted to write like a research paper about. But I learned about it, and in the end, we resulted, me and my friend, in a very successful project that overcame the results that were existent before this project and presented unique approach because now we live like in the age of the internet. So if you know how to code, especially for astronomy, you will be fine for doing projects on your own. You just need to read papers and see what other people are doing and try to have an idea how you can do something better than they did. And usually use Python for that. So I learned Python really well to be able to come up with some unique idea about some of the projects and then learn the theory that I needed to use for that project. And in the end, it became very successful. I presented it at the conferences, and it was really nice to see like that it's possible to do even alone without any supervision of professor because I know that not all the people can access that, which is good.
That's really good, amazing. Um, I mean, I can guess what was your personal statement, but I want to hear it from you. How was your coming up personal statement? How did you write it? And how did you come up with the idea?
Um, so in my high school, I was told that personal statement can be like four different types. The best type of personal statement you can make is when you write about your challenge in life, plus how it connects to your subject that you want to study. A bit less worthy would be just to write about your challenge in life or about what you want to study. And like, of course, the worst personal statement would be that you just don't write about your subjects you want to study and you don't write about your challenge. But what I've chosen, of course, was the best option. So I wrote about my challenge and how it connected to what I wanted to study. So I wrote about the war in Ukraine, and before the war, I lived in Kiev, and it was the north of Kiev, and it was very, very dangerous during the first days of war there. So we needed like to escape our house, not to like be there when Russians came there. So my mother like told me to pack only a small backpack with the things that I want to take with me, and I could like I thought that I might not return in my house never again. So like the thing that I put in my backpack were representing my values in life and what I wanted to keep with me when escaping. So I put there like my laptop because I had all the research data here, which I didn't want to lose. I put some math and physics textbooks because I didn't know where I'm going, where it will end up, but I still wanted like to continue my education in these subjects and so on. And like my personal statement was built on explaining which item I got into the backpack and how it like reflected my values in life and what's really important for me in this like dangerous conditions, because usually in dangerous conditions you understand what's really important for you. And I showed that how like the subjects I want to study were so important for me even like in dangerous conditions.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's the first time I saw someone does this way of writing. So, a question, a personal question that I like to ask everybody: how many drafts did you go through before you could just say, "I finalized my essay"?
Well, I don't even know, it was a lot, maybe 20,
Yeah.
but it's like with small changes as well.
Okay. Amazing. What about supplemental essays? How do you approach them? And do you have any tips for writing strong responses?
So supplemental essays, I was applying to like 20 universities in US. I only got into four, but all of them were top universities from my list, which is good. But anyway, I needed to write supplemental essays for each of the 20 universities because I basically applied everywhere where I could get some money because it was like the most important factor because my parents can't pay to go to any US university if I don't get like full financial aid. So I had a document where I started like from zero writing for some of the universities. And then when I had some similar prompt for another university, I would copy paste or maybe change it a bit because universities will not find out if you wrote like the same essay for two universities. And if they do, I don't think it matters if the
Yeah.
prompt is similar, just not to spend too much time. Of course, you don't do that for essays like why you want to come exactly to this university. There you need to write like from scratch. But if it's like very similar question, it will be better to copy paste, not to waste your time on the similar prompt you already thought about to think something, to come up with something else that you didn't write about if you already wrote about it. And about like why did you choose this university? um, there you really need to show what you like about them. But apart from Caltech, I think Caltech was my first choice. And in Caltech, like everything that Caltech had was like very good to me, and I wrote about that. But in other universities, most parts it just like that their astrophysics program was good, and I just wrote about it, and it's like was successful too. But um, it's better to apply, of course, to the universities that you really like, and you know exactly why you want to go there, not just because they have good program on your subject, but you like the culture, like how it's structured, and that's all. But I know that it's not only the case because there are a lot of universities and you do not know a lot about them, especially if you didn't go there to see. So just like spend more time on the website, figuring out what you like about that university, and then write an essay about it. For Caltech, I chose it like as a first choice because I think it just connected with me. Like, is of course the best university for astrophysics. It's very small too, so we have a very small class. That's why people know each other, and I really like it. And there are small classrooms, so you can better engage with professors. Small campus too, where you can see like all of the professors as well. And it's mostly built from like scientific laboratories because we don't have very small amount of humanity courses that you can choose from, and most of the courses are science related. So I thought this will be like the best place for me, and I think that reflected in my application that I really knew why I wanted to go there, and like Caltech admission officer saw that, and I was admitted in the end. So me and this university really matched.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So, were you able to get like external help from like counselors, teachers, and mentors? And how helpful do you think it was?
Yeah, like in my school in Belgium, I had a counselor, and I also had um, like a teaching assistant who helped us to write essays. He graduated from Yale with a philosophy degree, so he was very useful in doing that. I worked mainly with him on my essays, but I want just to tell my experience with like a school counselor for people who are also coming from like not so rich countries like Ukraine. Because in Europe, I was like, I got an experience of that when school counselor who's like from the more rich country is telling you that you are poor, so you won't be accepted to a good university because they don't need you. And like during that time, I was really like kind of attacked that I shouldn't apply to the universities because they definitely won't accept me. They don't exist for me because I don't have money. And also, I was told that my achievements are not so worthy, so I shouldn't like apply at all. But in the end, I got admitted like to Caltech, Stanford, Columbia, and Brown, and some of these
Ah,
universities
amazing.
were the first university, the first time somebody from that school got into those universities. We don't, we didn't have a lot of people getting into Ivy League. I think it's like 1 or 2 years or something. So it turned out successful. I just want to tell to people that if the counselor is telling you that like you shouldn't apply to this university because you're poor, or by the opinion of the counselor, your achievements are not good enough. You should have like another achievements. Don't listen to them. Just like for US universities, the tactics that worked for me, I just did what I liked. I wrote about it, even though it was like mostly astrophysics and it wasn't well rounded, as others say. And I got accepted into good universities. And I think that would work if you're just very passionate about one thing and you like do this thing because you like it, and it will definitely work to be successful and accepted in a good university.
Good for you. I mean, I don't understand like what was his philosophy when he said like your achievements aren't enough.
I don't know, like I didn't really believe him because he wasn't a scientist and I knew what
Yeah.
like scientists thought about me. but it still was like not really pleasant
Uh,
because other people might think that he's like the biggest authority about college applications and they would just listen to him and not to apply, and then they won't go to their dream school because somebody just said that they are not good enough.
yeah, I wouldn't put my future on a philosophy major either, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Did you take any like English standardized tests? So Duolingo or IELTS, TOEFL?
Yeah, I did Duolingo. I don't remember what I got. I think it's like 140 or 145.
Yeah, that's
Something
really good.
like
That's
that.
I think C1.
Sorry?
I guess that's like C1 on the cipher.
Uh,
Reading
yeah.
it. That's amazing. Okay. And would you recommend? You said you took test optional, right? Because it was at that time.
Yeah.
Would you recommend people to apply test optional now? I think it's still a test optional to this year.
Oh, I don't think it's test optional this year. I think most of the top universities they came back to requiring SATs.
Yeah.
Just for me, SAT, I tried to take it. I got like uh, almost 800 from math from the first try, but I got not really good score for reading because for me it was really hard as a non-native speaker. So I decided not to do it because I didn't want to spend a lot of time preparing for reading because it wouldn't be useful for me in life in general, and it would be just useful for the test, which I didn't like. But now you have
I
to
really
do it.
like your personality. Like you just don't really care about what the defense officers do or like what is taken as granted. Take like the ACT just because like try it for just because you just do what you like, and I really
Yeah,
appreciate that. Okay.
because it's like the point is not to get into the university, in a good university, and just study there. The point to just, I think, in all of the life is just do what you like. And it happened that like Caltech is the best place where I can do what I like. So I ended up here, and
Yeah.
here I do
Do
what
you
I
know like
like.
young Sheldon, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you like represent him so much. Like you
maybe,
actually ring a bell.
maybe.
Okay. I guess you did university interviews, right?
Yeah, some of them, not here, but to other universities.
Yeah, like how did you prepare for them?
So most of my interviews they were quite informal. I got two in-person interviews and like three online interviews. And most of the questions they asked it was just like, what do you want to study, or why do you like this school? So I didn't need to prepare for explaining why I like that subject and why I want to study it because I knew that like very well. But I prepared a bit about what specifically in that university is particularly interesting for me, so I could say that to the person when them ask me about that.
Were the on-site in Belgium?
Yeah, I did some interviews in Belgium. I did Stanford's and Northwestern interview in Belgium.
Yeah, I didn't know they do that.
Well, if they have like alumni around your area, you will do the interview in person. If they don't have alumni around your area, you will do like interview online. But I think interview doesn't matter at all. Like, I mean, when they choose you for the interview, it doesn't mean anything like that they like you or don't like you. It's just because some person happened to be available or happened to be available around your area. And also, like, um, I think interview just can make worse if you behave not really well with that person. But I don't think it helps your application a lot if you just show the same thing that you showed in your application already. Maybe it will help just a little bit if the person is like amazed by you. and so it says, "Oh, I've never seen a person like that before. It's like very good," but I don't think it would help a
Yeah.
lot.
I remember I interviewed someone, I don't remember what college, but in her interview, the interviewer was like saw her in one of her achievements. It was like so someone was like sitting at the stage and it was really, really good. Like I think she said it helped her like 50% get in.
Yeah, because for example, during my rice interview, the person who interviewed me asked me, I think, 2 times, didn't I confuse the application and shouldn't I apply to grad school? And he was really serious about that. He was like he really thought that I confused and I
Yeah.
applied to undergrad school instead of grad school based on what I was saying to him.
Yeah.
But still, it didn't help me to get into rice. The only
Yeah.
interview that became successful is a Stanford interview because I got into Stanford. But I don't know how that worked.
Okay. Were there any like very weird questions or like unexpected questions that you got?
Um, on their interview, I think the hardest question is that you basically need to lie all the time that this is the school that you want to go the most. Because if you say, like, on the Stanford interview that, oh, it just like I applied here because it's a good school, but I really want to go to Caltech actually, it wouldn't be a good impression.
Yeah.
So the thing that you need to do is to kind of lie that you want to go to this school. Maybe it was for me specifically because there were only a couple of universities that I like really wanted to go to, but also I didn't want to be left out without university. So I applied to like every good university and I would go to any of those if I wasn't accepted to the universities I liked. So during the interviews, oh, sometimes they ask you like themselves, why wouldn't you apply to Caltech or MIT instead? Like, why Stanford is better for you? And
Yeah.
then you actually need to lie again, like, about why this school is better from your top school. But I think that person actually saw that I would be more suited to Caltech. But I still got in, and I don't know how because my essays were not really nice. I wrote them like 30 minutes before the deadline for Stanford specifically. I think I wrote like them with a lot of jokes just for fun. I didn't really want to go to Stanford in general, but I think they liked the fun I put there, so they accepted me in the
Yeah.
end.
You're the first one to say like I didn't really want to go to Stanford. Uh,
Yeah, I would go if I didn't get other options that I liked. Of course, because they like proposed me a very big financial aid. I just wanted to because I didn't know how strong my application was when I was applying. I wanted to get in like anywhere where I could get a scholarship, and that would be nice, just not to stay in Europe for the university.
yeah. Okay. So you don't have to lie to me. Why not MIT though?
So the difference, like just general difference, that physics and math and astronomy in Caltech are better than in MIT, like as the sciences and research.
Mm-hmm.
But MIT is like better in the applied stuff. Well, math I think is on a similar level, but not astronomy and not physics. Like more theoretical physics and just physics is better here. And I'm not gonna do like very experimental or applied physics, so it would be better to go to MIT. Just in general, Caltech, like the main point and of uniqueness of the Caltech is that almost every undergrad here is doing some research, even like before the summer of their freshman year. For example, I was like started to work as a researcher starting from September this year. I just like arrived at Caltech and I already started working as a researcher. And they even invited me to work before I even started Caltech in the summer here with them. So it's very nice here, like, I think more than 90% of undergrads, of first year students, they do research during their first year, and then of course later too. So most of the Caltech students during summers, they do research or internships, they don't rest. Like we have like half of the months of the rest in the end, in all of the summer, because most of the people do research here or in other schools. And it just like for me the most important thing about university is the research opportunities, because I want to work as a scientist, and Caltech is like the best place in the US to have those opportunities. And I know from the experience from people like from MIT, in MIT the research is more like it exists too, but it's not so common for everyone to do it.
Yeah.
Plus, it's more like helping out the professor with some project that professor already had. But I was like granted to work on my own project since like the start of my first year in Caltech. And
Yeah,
I
I
know
think
the people at Caltech who got that too, which is very good.
yeah, I think because like MIT focuses more on like engineering and computer science, it's more of like an applied like or like experimental
Yeah.
school. Amazing. So, it's also a personal question. How do you like how would you recommend someone who is applying this year or next year to get into Caltech? Like if you have to
Um,
like give yourself steps to go there again, like what will you do?
First, you need to think if this university is really for you. Because I personally think that this university is the hardest, not only to get in here, but to study here. Because our subjects are really harder to like compare to Harvard or MIT. Because I'm now in the first year and I already learned like real analysis in my first term. Now I just passed the linear algebra, where we proved like almost anything we did. So our math and Caltech, starting from the first year, is very proof based. So it's not just calculations like in most universities, but we prove a lot of stuff. And for example, in the third term, like now, next math subjects I'm taking this year is the multivariable calculus, where you also need to prove like everything. And also like starting from the midterm of the multivariable calculus course, you will need to learn basics of differential geometry and topology. And you learn differential geometry and topology as a first year student at Caltech. It's like a
That's
part of
insane.
the, yeah. Also, like for physics, my physics course, second semester, it started from special relativity, and the second part of this course is electromagnetism. And in this second part of the course of electromagnetism, we use vector calculus, which we didn't learn yet by math, but they quickly taught us that in physics, so we can use the multivariable calculus for electromagnetism. So it's just very, very hard, not only for physics and math, like in physics, just to pass the class that I'm taking right now, you need only 40%, because it's hard even to get like 50%. Also, just the workload, you don't really get the weekends, because this term, for example, I have physics, math, chemistry, then chemistry lab, which takes a lot of time, like I was building some solar panels or something. And especially also humanities. Some particular humanities are also hard, because the class that I took humanities this term, it was a history of science, and I needed to write like 6,000-word research paper on history for to pass
Is
that
that
class.
as an assignment?
Yeah,
That's
and
that's insane. I've never heard of this like in like any top school.
yeah, and this is like fresh hum, but it's like structured like a graduate course in humanity for people who never want to do humanity. So yeah, you really need to think that when people say it's hard, it's actually hard. It's not just like challenging, it's hard. So before like going here, you should consider what you value the most. Do you want like to spend more time with your friends, socializing, going somewhere on the weekends, or you're okay with spending like all of the term working and then only during like spring break, winter break, resting? If that's okay for you, then fine, like you can apply, but you also need to feel like kind of the connection to the Caltech. So you really want to stay here, and when you come here and you struggle here, you still would be happy here because it was the school that you really wanted to go to.
That's real. That are like really encouraging words. So, um, like, if you're not gonna apply to like Caltech, what universities would you think of to apply to and why?
Mm, I think from where I applied to, I liked Columbia University because I had a good astrophysics program, and I was also admitted there. And I was admitted not only as a student but also as a research scholar, so I would have some benefits and my own like small community of researchers. So I'd probably go there if I didn't go to Caltech. Also, I liked Brown as well, where I also got admitted because there it's kind of unique because you can specialize earlier than in other universities, and you can like build your course based on what you like. I didn't apply to Princeton, but I would go to Princeton as well if I applied there. It just had this big essay I didn't want to write,
Hmm.
so I didn't apply there, but I would go to Princeton if I got accepted. But um, if I didn't get accepted to Caltech and got accepted to Princeton, I would go to Princeton.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, okay, that's the section I like the most. Okay, what is something you wish you had done differently in your application, or like a group of things?
Oh, I don't even know. My application was successful for my top university, though I think it's like I didn't want to change anything in this because I got accepted with it here. But I think I would spend less time on the schools that I didn't really like and to focus more on the universities that I liked more. But I don't know, like what I focused was enough to get in. So I don't really have something to compare with. And I really like that I got into like my top university. So I never even think how it would be if I like went to my another university because I'm already in my best university I wanted to get in. So it's like I'm really happy with that, even though it's very hard to study here.
Amazing. So, I would guess you reviewed a lot of applications, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of like the common mistakes that applicants make, and how do you think they should avoid them?
Mm, I think the common mistakes about like application process in general that people like when they're in their pre-last year they try to do activities that are like showing that they're well-rounded but activities that are actually common because like that's what my school counselor wanted to force me to do. He was like, you should study politics or join some politics club in school. I was like, I don't like politics. I just want to do astronomy. And he was like, no, you should do that because you should be well rounded and they should see that you're well rounded. So don't do that. I didn't do that and I didn't regret doing that. So, like, just don't do anything that's not of the interest of you because I think university will find out because they know, like, those people who just do something like a lot of volunteering in random places, not just in places which connect to you personally, where you really want to help, or a lot of clubs, which is also bad because Like, why would you spend all your time in those clubs if you could do more what you like and things like that? Just don't like tune your application and activities for the school you want to go to, because the main idea is not that like you find the university and then you like prepare yourself to be the best applicant for the university. The main point is when you're looking at the university and you like read about it, you should feel already that you're like the best applicant to this university, or it aligns with what you want to do in your life like the next year. For example, when I just first found out of the Caltech, I didn't do quite a lot of activities I did before applying, but I knew that I'm planning to do those, and when I will do them, I will be like the best applicant for this school, but not because I do these activities to get into Caltech, but because I already was planning to do them, and they really connect with what Caltech wants to see. So not you, not university like choosing you, but you choose university. That way you will find like the school that you really like, plus your chances when you feel that connection already, even before knowing what university wanted from you, but you already have it. If you feel that connection, it increases your chances a lot, because the admissions officers, they can see that really well.
Yeah, so you said a phrase I really, really liked, and I think it will resonate for me, with me for like this year because I'm applying. It's universities don't choose you; you choose the universities, which is
Yeah.
like it simplifies a lot and simplifies like the entire process in like one sentence.
Yeah, because if you just spend 2 years of your life doing what you don't like and then still got rejected, you would just waste 2 years of your life doing what you don't like. But if you just do what you like and you choose the right university which does the same thing as you like, your chances are high to be accepted. Plus, you just spend those 2 years doing what you already planned to do regardless of applying anywhere. So that's really nice.
Yeah, amazing. Okay. Mm, uh, okay, so transition to your college life. Uh, what's something you wish you had known before starting Caltech?
Mm, I think it was just difficult to move so far away here and to stay in the US. Like when you just study at the Caltech, it's alright, like it's hard to study, but the most challenges I encounter are regarding like the system of like society here in America, or where to find this thing, where to buy these things, like how to go to the doctor, like how to buy prescription drugs that you need, and things like that. Like the most challenges are mostly about how like things work in this country, not about Caltech. Because if you just stay in Caltech, you just stay here, you just study, and everything is clear what you need to do. For example, once I was really sick and I didn't have a car, and like the health center which is on campus was closed because it was like Thanksgiving holiday, and I really didn't know what to do. I was like really sick, I needed the help of a doctor, but I didn't know like anything. What should I do if the health center on campus is closed and I can just go to other hospital, because then I will pay a huge amount of money. So what we did, we like found some random hospital that was possibly accepting people who just needed help. We went there. I needed like to fill so many papers. I needed my friend who was older than 18 to fill out some papers too, because I didn't have parents, and apparently I could not get the like house help if I didn't have my parents with me or guardians, which is weird because if I'm here alone as a student, why can't I get the medical help? I
Yeah.
was 17 at the time, so it was very stressful, and I think colleges needs to have more resources for international students. We have a lot of resources, but it's still not enough to cover everything. maybe some more sessions about that, because you wouldn't go just to international office to ask some questions when you're already really sick. You need to know like answers right now to act.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. I think we touched that before, but what was the hardest class you took? Like you just wanted to drop out.
Mm, Here, I think so far the hardest was Mass 1A. It was like the real analysis. In other schools, usually the first class you take is some advanced calculus. So you just like calculate advanced integrals or start learning like linear algebra already. But what we did, like proved from the first principles, limits, like integrals, differentials. Like you just build up from some axioms of the fields to why integral works like that, with a lot of theorems and proofs with epsilon deltas and all of those things.
Yeah.
I know that people in Europe do that as well, but mostly in like universities where the math is already a major. For example, my friend from Cambridge who does math as a major, she had exactly the same topics and even less because we did some complex analysis too in the end of real analysis. But she was already a math major in Cambridge. This math one was obligatory for everyone, for biologists, computer scientists, physicists. They didn't care who you are. You just all need to take it. And it was hard because I never did so many proof based. I did some proofs like in high school as well, but those are not like regular proofs that I knew. It just like you get some algebraic fraction from your head to prove something that something is less than that. That's why you can prove something else. It's like a lot of guessing as well, like mathematical guessing. And for that, you needed a lot of intuition, which we didn't have in the beginning. But now, after I completed that course, like my linear algebra is similarly structured. You could choose it could be like practical or analytical track, and practical track is more like how to apply the linear algebra, and analytical that I took is again like Mass 1A, but Mass 1B, the same thing with linear algebra, proven from the first principles. And now it's better because I did that first semester, but first semester it was hard. But the next semester it will be even worse because it's proving multivariable with like a lot of theorems from the first principles. Plus, it will be differential geometry and topology, also with proofs, not just applied. I'm kind of scared of that, but we'll
Yeah.
see how it
I think it'll be
goes.
fine. Yeah. Um, I don't understand like why proof at Caltech, but when you said that Caltech like has a lot of research and everybody's doing research, like it did make sense that
Yeah,
you have like to prove things that are already proved. Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. Okay. Do you have any general advice for students that are applying this year to the US?
I think just general advice that just do what you like, and the right
Okay.
university will find you, and you will be happy in that university. Because if you like apply with something you don't like to the good university just because it's good and you end up going there, you will just not like it as much at the university that would accept you because you really matched with them.
Amazing. Okay. So, do you have any words of encouragement for like students that may be feeling discouraged?
I think just don't listen to anyone because nobody is hurt when you just try to apply, and just think on your own what are your abilities, and sometimes even like a bit overestimate that because it will be a pity if you didn't apply to your top school because you thought that you're not good enough, but you would be accepted because you never know. So just don't over apply to the schools that you don't like. Apply to all schools you like because you still have a chance in all of them. and don't listen to other people saying where should you apply or where you shouldn't apply, because those people don't know if you will be accepted. That's why you just apply where you want to.
Amazing. This is a really, really good interview. I really liked it. It was, I think, the best interview I've done in a while.
Thank you.
I mean, like an hour just gone by and I didn't even notice. So yeah, like very thank you for being here. Do you want to join our WhatsApp group?
Okay, and it will be nice.
Yeah, amazing. So thank you for being here. I wish we can do like a retake in like a year, see where you went from there, and yeah,
Okay.
that's gonna be really, really good. So thank you for
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thank you for being here. And this was Tree Talks, and see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.